So Assassin's Creed Mirage releases in a few weeks, and I've never once played an Assassin's Creed game since stealth isn't really my ideal way of playing games. I prefer to do the approach of running in and dying, and then complaining about how bad the game is instead. True gaming. But today I decided to play Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which is one of the earliest and best versions of Assassin's Creed you can play on the PS5. The Platinum Trophy for Assassin's Creed Syndicate consists of 50 trophies and definitely has lots of ass involved. The trophy list isn't horrible, and most are focused around the story and skills unlocked whilst playing it. However, there is one trophy at the end that will have you driving around in circles in search of your long-lost father. Anyways, you begin the journey by being introduced to the Assassin program or something. I'm not really quite sure what this is.
She kinda bad though.
But the whole way of them making it seem like you're not going back in time, but you kind of are, is kind of weird in my opinion, and I just don't really get it. But it's okay because you barely see these modern day people anyway. The entire plot to the game is in London, and you are after Pieces of Eden, which is this super powerful item that has everyone pissing in their panties in efforts to get it. The main villain's name is Crawford Starrick, and you can tell he is the main villain by his very distinct villain mustache. I don't know how this man even grew that, but goddamn is it impressive. Also, why is that the only mustache style that any villain ever has? Aside from, you know, anyways. You play as two main character assassins named Evie and Jacob. You swap between them a lot during the story, and the first mission has Jacob run into a super well-regulated sweatshop, much like how I imagine Apple does it. Anyways, much like Apple does their business, you jump onto a man and kill him. The game features these funny kill cams where the person who just died gets to let out their anger and frustration on you, all the while watching their bodies slowly bleed out. If this is what death is like, I can't even imagine what JFK must have felt like.
Hey, yo!
Anyways, we escaped to a train because the factory was blowing up, and sadly the train forgot to go on the tracks and crashed with us on it. After sliding down, the mission is over, and we get no more foreplay, giving us another trophy. Since Evie didn't get any action and is deprived of sustenance, we play as her on the next mission, and instead of crashing a train, we ride on one and touch lots of men with our shiny blades. Eventually, you detach the train car, leaving the NPCs on red, much like how I deal with the woman, if you know what I mean. After climbing to the first vantage point of the day, somehow Evie can see all the way over to two people having an intense conversation. I know our world has gotten a lot more polluted over the years, but come on, there is no way she could see that, but still doesn't have a dad.
That's what I'm saying.
Anyways, that thing sort of gives us directions on the lore of the mission, and we are sent out to do whatever we want. I thought the optional objectives were just a suggestion, so I never did any of them to start off my first few missions in this game, which would end up being very bad since you were required to do all of them for a trophy at the end of the game. But nonetheless, I saved this guy who wears a ginormous hat for no apparent reason, and the dude straight up thinks he's Batman the way he disappeared out of my life. And no, I'm not gonna make a girlfriend joke right here. A few minutes later, you stroll upon this secret lab that is testing on the piece of Eden we are after. In order to stop this as fast as possible, we decide upon the great idea of just murdering the main scientist. I love how they always clean up the wound after they kill him. You gotta stay sanitary in such times. Again, like the last mission, the entire place is blowing up and we have to run away or we will die. I'm already starting to see a trend, but as long as I get to see more of Evie, it's okay with me. We also got to see an introduction to the game, so if you accidentally threw it in at 2 AM while I was tripping balls on illicit substances, you now know what you are playing. Assassin's Creed Syndicate. And after watching the modern day storyline, we got another trophy. Even after platinuming the game, I still have no clue what the hell is going on with that storyline. Like, I honestly just have no idea. It's a goddamn mystery. But we have now reached London and get introduced to a giant amount of missions and things to do. The guide's name is Mr. Green, and no, not the one from Clue. Instead, he is a simp for Evie the entire game, and it's low-key kind of awkward if I'm being honest. Like, how is my man about to steal my girl like that? He isn't even a playable character. The first mission from him is to actually do a ton of side objectives for a main objective. Each district in London is called a borough, and it has various areas occupied by enemies, and after liberating them all, you conquer the district and it's now under your control. So we did those by kidnapping a man, exterminating the minority, which was probably legal back then, and an objective that was called Child Liberation, which has got to be the worst name ever for a mission, but it has you save kids. Or so they say. And to top it off like your girl does to old men, we had to kill some random dude in the middle of a farmer's market. Now we nearly have control of Whitechapel, which is the first district. All that is left is to participate in a gang war. And no, nobody's pants get pulled down for comparison. That's a different type of gang. This type of gang war literally just consists of you and your boys teaming up and beating the balls out of other people in a very civilized manner. Except this time, the dude tries to run away and I jumped on the train to stop him. But since I wasn't the greatest at combat, I ended up nearly dying, which was actually a good thing because it forced me to go into clutch mode, and I got a 40-hit combo for a trophy. Just edit out the fact that I died right after. Thank you. After that, I killed the gang leader, and that's mission over. We moved on to the next area in the game, and I saw an unassuming man standing on the street and just killed him since no one will miss him anyway. And it gave me a trophy for 50 assassinations total. There was a brilliant brilliant mission which had you install 3 fuses into super tall towers in London. And for the life of me, I could not climb down from the mission back to my objective, and I died over and over from breaking my legs. I actually lost my mind here, but realized now that I just wasn't aware of the game's mechanics quite yet, which is why I just couldn't do it. Later on, we get introduced to this person named Ned, and I'm not positive what gender he is, and it actually confused me a lot. It's no wonder I can't find a girlfriend anymore. I can hardly tell the difference between men and women. Anyways, we got a trophy. On the next mission, you steal a super important chest full of super important things. And as you are trying to run away from authority, there's enemies chasing you, and the best way to rid them of life is to sadly shoot the horses so they just eat it. Apparently, you weren't supposed to do that though, because the trophy yelled at me. I then did around 3 hours of story mumbo jumbo until I reached my first mission with Jacob without a clear direction involved. It lets you do optional things, and the entire premise is surrounding the assassination of a deranged mad scientist, who is just killing people for his quote-unquote progress. After hiding a body and then pretending to be the same dead body, I ended up right next to the crazy lad and inserted it in one of his holes, but not the one he likes. After he confessed to me about his crazy love for Katy Perry's father, he then arrested in the Forever Slumber Party. And after escaping the place, we got another trophy. I then realized I needed to get the full objective list done on all the missions, so I spent some time going back and doing all that. And I ended up on this one mission where you need to blow up 2 contrabands at once. And for the life of me, who in their mind is doing this on accident? Like, setting this stupid ass thing up took me around 20 minutes since you can't run while I was holding the dynamite. Anyways, after that we had to assassinate Malcolm Milner, who has gotta be in relation to Mac Miller. And it's sad to see them both go too soon. I ended up as Evie eventually and had this boss fight with this girl named Lucy, and one of the objectives on this mission is to not get hit by her a single time. I hadn't quite figured out yet how the combat works in its entirety, so eventually I just gave up with her, much like the girl named Lucy I used to go to school with. A true L for sure. She was a dime piece. Oh my god! This also meant I would need to replay the entire mission again later, which was extremely mentally ill, if you know what I mean. After that devastating loss on my 100% completion streak, I retired from the main story for quite a while and decided upon finishing off every single district in the game, which is a horrible idea since I was super low leveled, but I actually did it and was kind of proud of myself for once. The first trophy I got was for delivering 3 bounties back to the delivery place, still alive, which isn't really a challenge if you just knock them out and throw them in the back, although it does look super sus if you think about it. Next, I finally was able to recruit 5 rooks to assist me, which are just the NPC who are in your gang. Then I completed 3 Templar hunts, which is just another objective within the district completion, and 5 child liberation camps, which will hopefully slow down the production of the new iPhone since it's not needed anyway. Much later on, I did every single objective for this dude named Aberline, and now he fully trusts me, which is a mistake since I only did it for myself and a trophy. Finally, after doing a super unfair gang fight with a max level gang leader in the game, I got the completion trophy for all districts in London. That fight was awful, by the way, since I was 3 levels below the suggested, but I still did it, goddammit. And since I had already fallen down the rabbit hole of game completion, I also did some collectibles, and the first one was drinking all the beer in the game, which you don't have to give a trophy for me, I do it anyway. AA will be calling my future most likely. The next collectible was these gay letters. Like, seriously, dude, just text. It's so much faster. And we have finally returned back to the main story, and the objective of the mission is to assassinate Pearl Attaway, who is the cousin and business partner to the main villain. So, after literally just walking into her train car, I did indeed assassinate her ass, and just jumped on the train and rode away scot-free, giving me another trophy. We then see how Starrick deals with anyone who finds his secret Playboy stash. Such a naughty man. I got another story trophy after assassinating yet again another bad boy. No wonder this game is called Assassin's Creed. You sure do assassinate people, but not any more than how much I would assassinate Diva right here. Anyways, I got a trophy for hitting people in the face with throwing knives, which sounds like a good Friday night to me. And another on the same mission after dropping unfathomable amounts of crates on the enemies' faces. There is a trophy that requires you to poison 4 enemies at once with the poison darts. And I did that, but felt kind of left out since I would also like to trip balls with the boys, but I didn't get invited. I got 2 more trophies a few minutes later, one for completing the 7th mission line and another for buying all the skills in the combat section. On the 8th mission line, there is a deranged enemy boss guy who goes completely off the script and sets up an entire play to kill people and kill us in the process. After some jerking around with other men, I found him and killed the lad, but forgot the whole building was burning down and got sort of lost, making me reset so I could still get the side objective done. I escaped and got another trophy, leaving only 1 more mission line left in the main story.
Nuts are gonna start quaking, buddy.
The last main story mission finally involves Starrick, and you sneak into his party he is having, which also happens to be the same time he plans to use the Piece of Eden. He blew up the entrance to the vault, and we are about to have an epic boss fight, but my PS5 cockblocked me, probably because I have that thing running all day every day, so I'll let it slide this one time. Also before that, I got a trophy for unlocking all the stealth kills. Anyways, back to the boss fight. He actually used the Piece of Eden to become somewhat invincible, or so he thinks. We take turns as Evie and Jacob, slapping him in the face with sharp weapons to no effect. And by the third time, you think these dumbasses would stop staring in awe and getting hit unexpectedly, but they did just that over and over. And when all seemed lost, that son of a bitch Henry shows up after not contributing to us the entire game. And then we all touch Steric in many, many places. But it was needed to make sure he was dead for good. And that sums up the main story, giving us the game's completion trophy and the 100% objective trophy in addition. Literally the second after all the cutscenes ended, I got another trophy for reaching max level 10. There's another storyline in the World War I simulation, which is super pointless and I'm not sure why they had to add it into the game at all. But within it, you can find the last 3 viewpoints, and I sat on those like it was a big black cock. And around an hour later, I finished all the World War I missions, which was basically just like finishing off one of the districts in London all over again. Next, I farmed a trophy where you had to kick people off of a train, and I did it just by reloading a checkpoint over and over in one of the previous main story missions at the train station. I then cleaned up a few side objectives with their side objectives within the side objectives, and stopped 20 crowd events which happen at random times. I got 50 multi-kills, which is super easy to do once you go into the Fight Club, but don't ever forget the only rule of Fight Club, obviously. Speaking of fight clubs, I won 3 of them easily and got a trophy. And I won 3 street races also, which are considerably harder. I did a dumb quest for that questionable thing Ned and got a trophy also. I then crafted a level 10 weapon which not only turns my enemies' pussies inside out, but also gives you a trophy. I then got 10 perks, which was sort of hard to get because some of them make you go way out of the way to do. And finally did 10 objectives for that thing Ned, who is still more mysterious than the balls seem. I got trophies for crashing carriages with my horse, returning 10 friendly shipments, collecting all the illustrations, and then all the flower thingies. And finally, all the secrets of London, which was by far the hardest collectible, since you can't just use the map for it and run to them like a fat ass does to donuts that are on sale. I then stole 20 police vehicles, which is actually sort of a grind, since they don't appear too often and you have to very carefully kill and take it from them for it to count. Another dumb grind trophy was to kill 5 enemies within one single haystack. And you can do it by simply just resetting checkpoints over and over and doing one kill in the same one each time. Not really what the devs intended, I imagine, but it still works. And another grind trophy was to shoot back 50 times at enemies, which all you have to do is press triangle, but this becomes quite a challenge when your character just dodges instead of shooting back like mine does most of the time. So to make sure you shoot back at the enemy, you have to stand and face the idiot like it's a Red Dead Redemption duel all over again. Now all that is left is for me to unlock all the gang upgrades and break 5,000 objects with a carriage. The gang upgrades were actually very grindy since you need a ton of materials and money to do so. I found out the hard way that I should have upgraded these things earlier since I had like 0 money left at the end and was broke beyond broke when trying to do this. But after I got all the money from chests in the fight clubs, I got the trophy. And finally, the last trophy before the platinum. Break 5,000 objects with a carriage. It would have been really nice if they had a counter of objects broken so you know what ones count or not, but from my knowledge, the lampposts on the side of the road don't always count, or if they do, it's not every one. So you have to go to this one area of the game and run through these shops which have a ton of breakable things in them. This took me around an hour to do, and Lord have mercy, I was dizzy after going around it so many times. But I got the trophy and then the Master Assassin Platinum right after. But the only ass I've ever mastered is your mom's.